Have you ever just felt completely wiped out? I'm not talking about being lazy. I'm talking about the exhaustion that comes from trying to manage every single little detail of your life. The outcomes, the deadlines, what other people think. It's just this constant pressure. Well, today we're going to look at a really powerful way to step out of that cycle of burnout. I mean, really think about it for a second. You know that feeling? That voice that says if you just plan a little more, work a little harder, stay on top of everything, then life will finally feel stable. So you're constantly trying to manage the future, replaying conversations from the past, and just trying to steer the present exactly where you want it to go.
And here's the crazy part. It doesn't actually bring stability. It brings anxiety. The harder we try to grip everything, the more tense we become. It's this strange paradox where the quest for control actually makes us feel more out of control than ever before.
Okay, so let's dive into this first part and really break down why this is so draining. I mean, where does this deep need for control even come from? Well, at its core, it really all boils down to fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of getting hurt. And when life feels uncertain, our mind's default reaction is to just tighten its grip. That's when we start to overplan everything, obsess over details, and replay conversations in our head. And our modern culture kind of eggs this on. It tells us that being in control is a sign of strength, and letting go, that's weakness.
But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if true strength is found somewhere else entirely? This brings us to a concept from the Islamic tradition called Tawakkul, and it offers a completely different and, frankly, way more liberating approach.
So what is Tawakkul exactly? Think of it like a two-part equation. It is not about just sitting back and doing nothing. It's about, 1, putting in your sincere and full effort, doing everything you possibly can. And 2, after you've done your part, you trust in a higher power, in Allah, with the result.
And this is absolutely crucial to get. Tawakkul is so often misunderstood. It's not passivity, it's not laziness, and it's not carelessness. It's pretty much the exact opposite. It's an active state. It's about taking full responsibility for your actions, for your effort, and then combining that with a really deep, profound trust in how things will turn out.
So, how do we actually do this? How do we put this into practice? Well, there's a famous story from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that just perfectly captures this balance, and it answers the one question we all have. This is the big one, isn't it? This is the essential question. We know we're supposed to work hard, but we also know we're supposed to trust. So, where's the line? Where does one end and the other begin? The answer is actually beautifully simple. This quote comes from a well-known story. A man came to the Prophet and asked if he should just leave his camel untied and just, trust in God to protect it. And the Prophet's response was so clear. Tie it and then trust Allah. In other words, you have to do your part first. So we can really break this down into 2 clear jobs. First, tie your camel. This is your part. It means you do everything you can possibly do. You study for the test, you prepare for the job interview, you lock your door at night. You take full responsibility for the effort. And the second half is trust Allah. Once you've done all that you can, you release the outcome to Him, letting go of that crippling anxiety of needing to control it. This is another powerful analogy that really drives the point home. Think about the birds. They don't just sit in their nests waiting for food to magically appear, right? No, they actively go out in the morning, hungry, and they put in the work to find their provision. They do their part. And then they trust, and they come back in the evening with their bellies full. It's an active trust. So, why does this all matter so much? What's the real, tangible benefit of living this way? Well, it's all about finding this profound sense of relief from the massive weight we carry around every single day. When tawakkul really settles in your heart, your whole mindset starts to shift. You stop wasting all that mental energy obsessing over things you are never going to be able to control anyway. You start responding to situations with calm instead of just reacting with panic. And this is huge. Your self-worth is no longer tied to the result. You did your best, and that's what matters. Your heart can finally rest because it knows it's not carrying the weight of the universe all by itself. This verse from the Quran isn't just a nice thought. It's presented as a divine promise. And the key word here is sufficient. Sufficiency doesn't always mean you get exactly what you want. It means you get what your soul truly needs to grow, what's best for you in the long run, even if you can't see it or understand it at the time. So what it really comes down to is this incredible psychological trade. You get to trade the heavy, crushing burden of self-blame for the lightness of knowing you made a sincere effort. And you trade the chaotic energy of panic for the calm strength of patience.
All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually build this trust muscle in our everyday lives? Let's make this super practical.
You can start with these really small, simple steps. Before you start any task, big or small, just begin with Bismillah, which means in the name of God, to set your intention. Then give it your absolute best with honesty. When that inevitable fear or worry starts to creep in, just gently remind yourself that there's a bigger picture that you can't see. Make your supplication, your dua, ask for the best, and then let it go. And if things don't go according to plan, reframe the question. Instead of, what did I do wrong? Try asking, what is the lesson for me here?
And this brings us to the final, really powerful reframe. We are so conditioned to see letting go as losing control. We see it as giving up, as a form of weakness. But Tawakkul just flips that idea completely on its head. It's not about losing control, it's about returning control to the one who actually has it. It's not giving up, it's giving back. And that is the definition of true strength.
That exhaustion we feel is really just a sign that we're trying to play a role that was never meant for us. The deepest kind of peace doesn't come from the illusion that we can manage every single outcome. It comes from the deep, internal certainty of knowing who is truly in charge.